Last year I featured the 2018 Alfa Romeo Stelvio TI Sport and I hated it, which means the Alfa Romeo community across the planet hated me because I hated it. But I had a lot of complaints about it. It wasn't really the sporty option. I felt that there were other vehicles like the BMW X3 M40i or X40i, the Mercedes-Benz GLC 43, that could be a little bit better, both for luxury and performance. But today, we've got the best of the best when it comes to the Italian brand. Our snapshot is on this 2019 Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. It has a 505 horsepower V6 engine derived from Ferrari. We're going to be going over what makes this different and everything else you need to know if you're in the market for a $115,000 compact luxury SUV. I'm not going to bore you with the details when it comes to this car because we've already covered it before. If you want to know absolutely everything that there is to know about the Stelvio, you can take a look at last year's episode. You can click the link in the top right of your screen. Even the color is the same, Rosso Competizione. It is a $2,500 tri-coat paint and it looks great, especially when it's all buffed up and polished like it is here. I think it's a good look to it. Though unlike the regular Stelvio, the entire car is painted in the color of your choice. On the other one, it had black trim around the bottoms of the vehicle. Give it a more off-roady, rugged kind of look to it, but I think this looks really good the way that it is. Plus, you have sort of flared fenders on the back. It gives this car a more aggressive stance. This uses an all-aluminum 2.9-liter Ferrari twin-turbo V6 engine. It's a 90-degree V, has direct injection, chain-driven dual overhead cams, and a 505 horsepower rating with 443 pound-feet of torque. Actually, the torque is lower than we'd expect, but not bad at all. It uses an 8 HP 75 automatic sport transmission. It has active dampening suspension, ultra-high performance Brembo carbon ceramic brakes with 6 pistons in the front, 4 pistons in the rear. You also have a torque vectoring differential, 2-mode performance exhaust with electronic active bypass. So if you wake up in the morning, you don't want to wake up your neighbors, put it into natural mode or advanced efficiency to cut off the exhaust so it sounds a lot quieter, but keep it in dynamic mode to make it sound fantastic. The suspension is also tuned by Alfa Romeo's in-house performance division, Quadrifoglio, and it has Pirelli P0 3-season high-performance staggered tires on 20-inch rims. Now this vehicle costs $115,000 Canadian as configured. There are $20,000 worth of options on it, and whether you want to call it a crossover or an SUV is up to you. It does have a rear-wheel drive setup, meaning it could be considered an SUV, but it is still based on the same platform as the Giulia, which means it is kind of a crossover, so it's in the middle. I don't care what you call it. The fact is, it's fantastic in this configuration. $2,500 for the Rosso Competizione tri-coat paint, $4,100 for the Sparco racing seats that has leather and Alcantara with carbon fiber to reduce weight on it. There's no power options on it except for the height adjustment. Everything else is manual, and you also lose the heated seats from it, but well worth it if you're looking for ultimate performance and sportiness out of an SUV. $1,500 for the driver assistance package, $500 for the dark version of the 20-inch rims that we have here, $1,595 for the dual pane sunroof, $350 for the Nero Edizione. It is a dark badging package with mirror caps and the front grille. Maybe you need it, maybe you don't. The Toronto Press Fleet car did not have it, but this one does. I think it looks pretty nice. $550 for the comfort and convenience package, which adds the power liftgate, acoustic laminated glass, and a 115-volt outlet. $8,250 for those Brembo carbon ceramic brakes, $250 for the black gloss roof rails, and $600 for the carbon fiber, Alcantara, and leather steering wheel. So you get a lot. I'm telling you that this car is fully loaded, and it is pretty affordable if you think about it. Here's why. Alfa Romeo says that this car will do 3.6 seconds to get from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. The next closest you can get in this category is the Mercedes-AMG GLC 63S 4MATIC Plus. Configured about the same way, you get, I guess, a little bit more features out of it. Comes out around $113,700 Canadian, 3.8 seconds. So a little bit slower. Next one would be the BMW X4M Competition. That is $105,644. And then if you want sort of the same deal from Porsche, the Macan Turbo S is 4.5 seconds, making it the slowest out of these four. comes in at $130,615 Canadian. These are crazy expensive. But there's a point behind it. This car turns heads, and that's probably why you might want to consider this over the Mercedes, the BMW, or the Porsche, because you see more of those on the road. When you see a Stelvio Quadrifoglio, you know that there's something special. And even if you don't know what it is, people still think that there's something special about this car. So we've pretty much talked about everything that's different about this, all the packages and everything else you need to know about it. I'm going to take this car on a road test now. We're going to go over some performance data and tell you how this vehicle is to live with on a daily basis, how it is to live with if you're driving it exclusively in race mode, and everything else you need to know if you're in the market for the Alfa Romeo SUV. Obviously, you guys want to see this in proper performance mode. We're in race mode, which is not to be used on the road. It disables all the electronic nannies. We've got it in that, in manual shift mode, and we're ready to go. Oh, holy crap. 100. Wow. That is incredible. I hope you guys heard that. Oh my God, this car sounds great. I love the sound of it. You saw just how fast it pushed me back. That's what's interesting about this car. It is a small engine, and it's not crazy performance. I mean, 505 horsepower isn't anything to laugh at. Very in line with everything else that's out in this segment. Porsche Macan, BMW X4M competition, Mercedes AMG GLC 63S. I mean, they're all up there in that power range, but this is a very light car by comparison. And man, does it get the power where it's supposed to go. Holy, this thing picks up so quick, and it sounds fantastic, especially in race mode. Sure, you can change the Alfa DNA from dynamic to natural to advanced efficiency, but really nobody cares about any of that. It needs to be in dynamic mode, and in race mode, like I said, it disables all the safety nannies. ESC is off, forward collision is off, you can't turn on cruise control, lane keep assist, all that stuff is off. The instrument cluster changes to essentially just the speed and when you're supposed to shift, and if you hit it right when it tells you to shift, you get that absolutely phenomenal sound out of the rear exhaust. I love it. It sounds great. I'll do it once more for you. I had some stuff in the back there. You could hear it kind of sloshing around. So brake down, gas. Oh! Oh my God, I love it. Oh. Oh my God. This is what the Alfa Romeo Stelvio was missing before. It needed that punch of just raw, untamed power and really batshit crazy performance. And yeah, I get it. You can buy the Stelvio regular version, the TI Sport, and the idea of it is to be a daily driver and something more livable. But that's not why you buy an Alfa Romeo. You buy it because it's crazy. And that's what this car really is, and that's why I like this one a whole lot more than the regular Stelvio. And it's funny because I was driving home from a car meet in Montreal on Tuesday with this. It's kind of the law. When you have a car like this, you have to bring it out to the car meets that are taking place, even though the weather was junk. There was an Alfa Romeo Giulia on the road. We were kind of cruising along together on the way back. Older gentleman, probably in his 50s or so, and it wasn't the Quadrifoglio, but still, it looks like a nice car, and that's the thing. The Giulia as a daily driver, fantastic looking car. You can live with it without the batshit crazy version. But because of this, because the unpainted trim just kind of makes it look a little meh, you kind of have to go for the full out Quadrifoglio. And that's going to be an opinion up to you, but honestly, I like this way more because it just doesn't make sense as a daily driver because of how fast it is. And yeah, I could put this back into normal mode and natural mode, as they call it. It'll change the exhaust profile and the shifting will be slower and it'll use the shifts up a lot more. It certainly won't be driving around in third or fourth like I usually am when I'm in manual shift mode, but that takes away all the fun. It'll help with fuel economy, that's for sure, but it'll take away from the fun. And what's the point of driving a car like this if it's not to have fun? Now, even when you're shifting down, it sounds great. Have a listen. Oh yeah. There's no real backfire like we've seen on some of the BMW M Performance or full-out M cars, but still really good. And I'm telling you, if you want an SUV and you want it to sound just like that, you really only have one choice. Yeah, the Mercedes GLC 63S sounds great, but this just sounds exotic. This really is like a supercar in an SUV format. The FCA was kind enough to option the $8,200 carbon ceramic brakes. So, for example, if we really needed to stop on a dime, I'm not going to do a full emergency stop, but I mean, we can bring this thing down to a stop real quick. I think you're going to wear them out, especially if you're doing it like that. If you're using the car normally, it's not bad at all. But it is important to stop. I mean, we talk about that on Test Drive from time to time, that stopping really is more important than going fast, because if you can't stop, you're in a lot of trouble. So the fact that they option it makes sense. I'm glad that they've put it on this car. And to be fair, most cars, I mean, all cars in this segment have carbon ceramic brakes, but I mean, most of the performance cars now have that as an option. Do people always take it off? Not really. I mean, it's pricey, especially when you go in for maintenance. You're going to be spending a lot more on it, and you have to be very careful when you're actually cleaning your car, because if you get the wrong type of soap on it, you are going to wear down the brake pads and the discs a lot quicker, and it can even impact performance. So you have to make sure, essentially hand washing only, and keep the soap off of the discs. So here we go. I got to give a little bit of a berth because there's a truck in front of us. One of the problems of filming in the real world. Oh man. Crazy. Not only is it fast, but it sounds phenomenal as well. I mean, just that firecracker coming out of the back there. I can only imagine how upsetting it is to people who aren't in this car, who have to deal with an obnoxious person such as myself driving around at 10 o'clock in the morning. Last year we didn't have our 100-kilometer test loop with the 2018 Stelvio TI Sport, but we do this time around. The Quadrifoglio completed our test loop in advanced efficiency mode in 10.1 liters per 100 kilometers, or 23.3 US miles per gallon, and went up to 14.9 liters per 100 kilometers, or 15.8 US mpg during our 1,000-kilometer week with it. This wasn't as efficient as the BMW X4 M40i that we had. However, the most comparable will be the 2020 BMW X3 M competition that we have booked at the start of November, so stay tuned for that. In terms of our likes and dislikes, it's more or less carried over from last year. The exterior design of the Stelvio Quadrifoglio is seriously good, especially with all the lower trim coming in the same paint color. The overall engine performance is also alike, considering it is the fastest compact luxury crossover on the market at this time. The Stelvio's on-road handling was also excellent, giving this crossover sports car-like handling and responsiveness. The available options like the Sparco carbon fiber racing seats and carbon ceramic brakes helped to solidify this as a true supercar SUV, and ultimately the Stelvio's low sales numbers will end up working in your favor, since you'll have a really unique vehicle that stands out from the typical German offerings. But not everything was rose petals and bubblegum. Some of the complaints that we had about the poorly equipped model from last year were fixed, like the dashboard trim. However, we noticed some build quality issues around some of the panels, specifically with the trunk not lining up with the rear fenders and the rear brake light assembly protruding on one side of the fender more than on the other side. Alfa's infotainment system is also terrible and offers little to no performance data aside from the brake disc temperature and the tire PSI. We'd like to see more data, and we'll discuss this in our upcoming episode of Test Drive Showdown featuring this Stelvio. Finally, we would like to see a HUD become available at some point still, as vehicles from competing manufacturers not only offer a HUD, but excellent color HUDs with large display areas. I personally had a lot of fun with the Stelvio Quadrifoglio during the week, but a lot of that came from the status afforded to the driver of this vehicle.
I was more excited to have people notice the car on the road and show it off than I was to actually drive the car for its performance and handling prowess. I feel like it's a trophy car, a symbol of affordability to those who can't afford the sticker price nor the high maintenance costs that go along with it. Now, I'm not saying that the car didn't perform to the level I expected it to, because it absolutely did, but the core enjoyment I felt from it came from knowing that people noticed me, and that isn't always a good thing.